This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
In our previous segment with Kathy Hill with TaxTiger, we were talking about IRS settlements and how she's settling for pennies on the dollar for her clients. And there's so many other programs out there besides just the settlement program in case you don't qualify for that. But right now, today, we are going to be talking about in this segment, how are tax returns done incorrectly versus correctly, and advice for self-employed people how to avoid getting into tax situations. So Kathy, previously you were saying that your company does do tax returns. Is that correct?
We do. So we do tax returns all over the United States because the people that we've done their tax resolution, their settlement offers, their payment plans, they are so thrilled with my results that they want to come back and get their taxes done with me every year. So I've built up a clientele of clients and taxpayers that we do their returns every year. And so the returns are done right. They're done correctly. We are up to date on what's deductible, what's not. We're up to date on self-employed people and what they can take as deductions. I want to talk in a minute about some of the ways that people get in tax trouble or the occupations that are at the top of the list. But let me start with a story of a business owner. And small business owners are one of the prime areas where people get into tax trouble.
Yep.
For many reasons, but one of the main reasons is because they have employees and times are hard and they can't afford to pay the payroll taxes. Those are called payroll taxes.
I just had a conversation with my mother-in-law about this. And there was the company that she was trying to help with their books had some issues, and they had no idea about payroll taxes.
See?
Yes.
That's a big one. And when you don't pay your employees payroll taxes, what that means is that employee's Social Security money that should go to their credit doesn't. Now they've lost Social Security money.
Wow. Yikes.
It's a big deal. And so when you owe payroll taxes, the IRS comes after you hard and fast, big time. They levy your bank account. They levy your company. It's rough. And so payroll taxes are one issue, but the other issue is these business owners just can't afford to pay it. The revenue is not coming in, and they have to cut somewhere. So for some reason, the IRS is the last thing. And they rather pay their salaries and they rather pay their rent. And so the payroll gets last. But let me tell you a really heart-wrenching story that I had years ago is from a small business owner who actually went out of business, owing the IRS. I think $129,000 was the amount.
Wow.
Didn't have a job, was despondent, in despair, depressed. And this man decided that he had no other way out but to take his life.
No.
And he was divorced. He lived in Florida. His wife lived in Texas. And he called his wife one day and said, I can't live like this anymore. I can't pay this debt. I have a gun and I'm going to take my life. And his ex-wife said, no, don't do that. Let me find you some help. She got online, looked through a whole bunch of companies, and focused in on TaxTiger.
What stood out to her about your company?
She said that it looked like the tiger. My tiger image just appeals to people. The tiger personifies aggressiveness and that we will fight like a tiger. And that just stood out to her. And the name TaxTiger, people tell me, just stands out to them too. So she called us. And she told us, my husband is ready to take his life. Can you help him? And of course I said we can help him.
Yeah.
Get him on the phone with me. I got on the phone with him. He told his story. I said, you're not going to take your life. I will fix this for you. You qualify for a settlement offer. You have no assets. You have no income. They're going to settle with you.
Wow.
So I talked him out of taking his life. I did the paperwork, put the settlement offer in, And we settled that debt for $50.
$50. And he owed over
$129,000.
Oh my gosh. And saved a life in the process. Wow.
The other cool thing is that, and I'll divert one quick second, is that through him and many others over the years, I've had the opportunity to tell them that TaxTiger is a faith-based Christian company. And do they understand what that means? And many of them said, that's why we called you in the first place. Because you say that in your radio spots. You say that in your ads. That you say that online. That's why we called you, because we knew we could trust you. But many of them have said, tell me what a Christian means. And I have been privileged to lead people to the Lord.
Wow.
In my office and over the phone because of my testimony.
Who thought the IRS would be leading people to the Lord?
That's a good one, Johnny. That's a good one.
Well, that's awesome. Awesome story. So you said there's wrong ways and right ways to do taxes. So what are some wrong ways you typically see them taxes done, tax returns? Because
they don't do their Schedule C right when they're self-employed. They don't know what to put down for deductions. They don't even put the right income down, because you have to, when you're self-employed or a 1099 worker, you have to make a P&L, a profit and loss statement. Yep. You have to list your income for the year and then all your deductions for your business. Do you have any idea how many small business, self-employed 1099 workers don't know how to do that?
I would say the majority of them.
The majority of them.
Yeah.
So the people that owe the IRS by far are 1099 workers, small business owners, and realtors, real estate agents. And I want to comment for a minute on real estate agents.
Oh, I know we're definitely known to be in this category.
Very much so. So way back 20 years ago, when I started getting so many calls from real estate agents, and talking with them, I figured out that here's this common scenario. A real estate agent sells a house, makes a commission. No taxes are withheld. So they know that they owe taxes, but they don't make it a priority. And they say to themselves, well, I need this commission to live on. So I'll pay the taxes on the next commission I make. And they keep pushing it down the road.
Yep.
And every commission they make, they need it to live on. And the end of the year rolls around and no taxes were withheld, and they owe a big amount of money.
Yeah.
Every single time I hear that story, I think, okay, so I've got to fix this. So I started, yes, I do a lot of offering compromises for real estate agents. I do a lot of payment plans. But then I decided to start making the rounds and talking at start talking at real estate offices so that I could start helping these people have a better plan of action.
Yeah.
So my plan of action to them now, both here locally and who I talk to on the phone, because I talk to people in all 50 states every day. Here's the plan, folks. When you make a commission, set aside 20%. Don't even figure out what your bills are. 20% goes in a savings account for taxes. Every commission.
How'd you come up with the 20%?
Because 20% is a good average for tax debt. Now, it could fluctuate. They might have owed 25%, or they might have owed less than 20%. But by the time you get to the end of the year, 20% is a fairly good average to withhold for taxes.
Okay.
So put aside that 20% and you'll be probably safe at the end of the year. If you have to come up with a little bit more, maybe, but it won't be bad. So I've got a lot of real estate agents doing that right now.
Yeah.
Is setting aside some money.
Well, that's when Valerie and I got into, business. The first business we actually had before real estate was we owned welding machines.
Oh.
I used to be a welder in the oil fields. And then when I got out of that industry, I would rent my machines out, my rigs out. And that was like, again, my mother-in-law has a background in bookkeeping, and she was always very diligent and very intentional with us about make sure you're saving for taxes, because that just has terrified Valerie and I from day one. But interestingly enough, we've also been setting aside roughly 20%, of our gross income every year
Good.
to go towards taxes. So we've never run into it, but it is always that is probably one of the things that scares us the most: lawsuits and getting behind on the taxes, because they just compound and they don't go away, and they don't. If you go through a bankruptcy, it's not like they get wiped out. So yeah, it's just terrifying for us. So 20% is what you recommend every single month.
Yes.
And then how do you help people? Like that's if you're already above water. Well, how do you recommend if somebody's starting? Because here's the thing too, is that let's say as a real estate agent, you have to learn the contracts, you have to learn lead generation, you have to learn negotiations, you have to learn the neighborhoods, you have to learn what's happening. There's all these other things an agent has to learn, or a business owner has to learn in their respective industry. And nobody teaches us about P&Ls. Nobody teaches us about taxes. Like, how many thousands of pages of tax regulations are there? And yet we are legally responsible to follow those laws.
Yes.
And so if somebody is struggling to, like, let's say they are paying, they're current on their taxes, or they're slightly behind, that doesn't go away. So how does somebody go from being behind to caught up without necessarily like shutting down their business or shutting down their marketing department or taking a hit? Like, how do you recommend somebody navigate that situation?
So what you have to do is take what you're behind and get on a payment plan for the back taxes that you're behind. And then going forward at the beginning of the next year in January, you start setting aside the 20%.
Okay.
So the payment plan part is where I'm going to come in, or maybe the hardship. Maybe you can't afford to catch up any of the back payments, but you have a house with equity in it. I might put you in a hardship for a year and let you catch up. But so we'll work on the back stuff that you owe, but I want you going forward to be current.
Got it. And the other thing too is that you're not alone in this. Again, I said it before, so many people suffer in silence, and it's because they think they're the only one, and so they delay contacting somebody. Or they don't know where to go.
Yes.
Because there's not a lot of companies out there like yours, right?
There's none like mine.
None like yours.
No.
As far as results. Absolutely. And so that's what we're going to cover in the next segment, though, is the difference between Kathy Hill and her company TaxTiger, and then the other competitors out there that maybe, so we say, are taking advantage of you and are less than ethical.
Yes.
Back after this.
Anxiety, fear, and embarrassment. If you're one of the millions of Americans with unpaid or unfiled federal taxes, I'm here to offer you some hope and relief. Hi, I'm Kathy Hill, founder of TaxTiger. TaxTiger operates on the Christian principles of honesty and integrity. We're a full-service tax firm. Not only do we protect you from the IRS, we prepare your back taxes, release wage and bank levies, and negotiate the best settlements in the nation, many as low as $20. You can trust TaxTiger to give you an honest and free appraisal of your situation. We will prepare your tax return every year, even if you have no IRS problem. We specialize in settlements and audits. You could be closer to financial freedom than you think, and you need a tiger on your side.
Call TaxTiger for a free consultation now. 916-393-9085. That's 916-393-9085. Learn more at TaxTiger.com.